Hey guys, Dr. Latimer here. I've actually got my cat here too, Winnie. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you today just going over grounding, which is really important, and mind-body connection. And the reason why I have my cat Winnie here, hello Winnie, is because Winnie is one of my main grounding tools that I use all of the time. So let's talk just briefly about what grounding is. So grounding is really helping ourselves get out of anxiety. And I always say to any client that I'm working with, anxiety lives in the future and the past, does not live in the. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, it lives in the what ifs of the future. So, oh my gosh, what are you going to think about me? What if this video isn't good enough? What if tonight's seminar doesn't go well? What if our coaching business isn't successful? All those what ifs, which are up here, our thoughts in the future, or the shame and the blame of the past. I could have done something better. I should have been, better at this. If I had only done this differently, then I would have more clients. If I had only done a better job putting together the course and not having any mistakes, maybe I would have. So you can go there too in the past. But I always say that the anxiety does not live in this present moment. And so when I'm helping clients learn how to ground, and even when I'm grounding myself, I always ask myself, is there anything in this present moment that I can? And then I look around, and the answer to that, and the answer for most of your clients is going to be no. It's what's going on in our mind, future, the what ifs of the future, and the shame and the blame of the past. Those are the things that we can. And so why does that make a difference? Well, imagine your energy is only having 100%, and then you're spending quite a bit of your energy on the what ifs of the future, shame and blame of the past, which you cannot do anything about either of those. Unless you can create time travel, you can't do anything. So we're spending a lot of energy focusing on things that we have no control over. And what does that do to the present moment? Well, it takes us away from the opportunity to have control over the only moment which we have control. So when you are feeling super anxious, or you have a client that's struggling with it, of course we want to help them explore that. But before they're able to explore that, same thing with you, before you're able to explore that, you have to learn how to ground yourself, take yourself down. So if you're above, and we'll talk about emotional scaling a little bit later, but on a scale of 1 to 10, if emotionally you're feeling like you're moving past that 5 or that 6, you're probably going to need to ground yourself or help your client ground before you're able to have a logical conversation that's going to be thriving in self-exploration. So let's just spend a couple moments doing it. Keep talking about this word grounding, and you're probably thinking, what in the world? Well, it's very, very simple. When I initially became a psychologist, way back in the day before I was a psychologist, I was just a grad student, I always thought to myself that the most effective things must be really complicated. And what I've learned is that the most effective stuff is very, very simple, which is great. It's great for us to be able to teach it to our clients, and it's great for us overall. But you have to understand that and believe it, because it's very hard for us to believe that the easiest thing to do is simple in nature. So we look for complicated paths when all we really need to do is look for the simple. So grounding is simply a fancy word for something that we use when we're focusing on 5 senses. So the 5 senses are going to be your sight, your hearing, your sense of touch, your sense of smell, your sense of and so you, as when you're grounding, when you're in those what ifs of the future, the shame and the blame, finding yourself above that, you're going to need a moment to take yourself back. So the reason why grounding works is because our senses help us to come back to this present moment instead of being. So it's the quickest, one of the quickest ways. The other one is one of the quickest ways we can help move ourselves back into that present moment which again, looking around us, there's nothing really control or anything that's so out of control that we can't. So what do we do? Well, now that we've identified the 5 senses, what we're going to do is we're literally going to focus on them. Now, what I recommend that you do is practice yourself several times. What I tend to do when I'm working with clients and I'm teaching them this is I naturally, before I ever teach them, I naturally watch them. I watch what they do in my session. I watch how they are naturally probably trying to ground themselves. So if they're twirling their hair, or they're playing with the stress ball, or they're, moving their hand on their clothing, that tells me that this person is probably going to be somebody I need to help understand the role of touch or the sense of touch or feeling to help get them. If I see them looking around, or if I hear them being distracted, kind of getting caught up in the sounds of the moment, then I know that it's probably going to be. Or if I see somebody that always has to have a water with them, which is right here, it's one of my grounding tools, then I know that they're probably going to be a taste. So grounding, as I explain it to clients, what it really does is give us just a couple of seconds, time and space between what's going on in our mind and what's happening. And allows us to make a better decision, allows us to pull down and just, like I said, focus on any of the energy we need to expend with what's going on right here. So if a client doesn't know, or you don't know yourself, take some time to just practice. There's nothing wrong with that. And if I really can't tell what a client's natural inclination might be, or they're not sure, then again, we practice it in session. We go through all 5, and I just take a lot of time in between each one. And we really look, really practice. And then you, as a clinician, the coach, can kind of see, oh, wow, they're really relaxed. But we're not going to tell them that. We're going to ask them, right? Because they're the expert. So we're going to ask them how they're feeling. And they'll be able to tell, hey, that one worked really well. So for me, one of the most important things that I can do when I'm feeling anxious is to focus on sound. So I'll just be really, really quiet. You can see I close my eyes because 85% of stimulation comes in through our sense of sight. And I allow myself to listen to the sounds that are naturally around me. And this helps particularly well when we're outside, because being outside in nature is already going to us naturally. So just listening to the birds, earlier today it was raining. I was listening to the rain. It was so relaxing. I just listened. It helped me calm down, out of the thoughts in my mind. And these are good thoughts that I'm having, thoughts about making the course even better. But we still need to be able to ground ourselves. So for me, that's the most important one. If you are a sight-oriented person, you're going to want to look around. And if you know that this is something that you need to do for yourself, that you're sight-oriented, you're going to want to choose something in advance. You don't want to choose something in the moment, but choose something in advance. Perhaps it's like, the color green, or maybe it's ceiling tiles. What you're going to do is you're literally going to focus on all of the green things in the room that you can find that are the colors, or count the ceiling tiles around you. And so partially it helps distract too. It helps us distract from the thoughts that are in our mind, because we can't focus on our senses and be worried at the same time. So it automatically focuses on those things that ground and get down in our sense of stimulation. If you're a smell-oriented person, or you have a client that is, that's when they're probably going to want to maybe bring around lotion or something that's soothing to them and have it maybe in their back pocket. I can tell you, I love my hand sanitizers. I can actually make any grounding tool work because I practice them enough, but I love my hand sanitizers. One in particular is vanilla cinnamon. And if I don't have anything else with me, I always have my trusty wallet there, and I'll just put a little bit of that on, and I'll just kind of put my hand up here, and I can smell the vanilla coming in, and it's very relaxing. If you are a touch-oriented person, this is where your clients or yourself are going to want to carry around something or be aware of something, and that you can touch or you can feel to help relax you. Back in the day, people used to carry around rabbit's foot. Please, but that's a grounding tool that helps them relax based on. Also, a lot of my clients like to bring stress balls with them or kinetic sand. That's something that's really helpful. If you're in the middle of a meeting, you may not be able to pull that out. So perhaps you can just have something in your pocket that is soft that you can kind of, maybe a small rock or something that's soft that you can move in between. Or twirl on your hair, something like that. That helps you ground because it's a sense of touch and it's monotonous. It's over and over again. So those are the different things that we can do. And what I always tell people when I'm running large groups, and for you guys as coaches, you might do this in the future, where you run large groups. One of my favorite grounding tools to do for that is I will carry my water. Always have this. I never am without it. Just by having it makes me feel better because in case I need it, it's there. So why do I use that? Well, there's a lot of emotions that are going to come in when you're running a group, even if they're positive. And if you are an empathic person, which you likely are, that's what's bringing you probably into this field, then you can be prone to absorbing a lot of those emotions that are around you. So actually grabbing a sip of water will help you just get, again, like I said before, a couple of seconds of time and space in between the information that's coming in and what's going on inside of you to figure out, is it me that's experiencing emotion? Is it coming from the group? And that can be really, really helpful. So this is Grounding 101, you guys. It takes no longer than maybe 5 minutes at the maximum to do. You can do it anytime, any place, anywhere. Nobody knows that you're doing it, and it's one of the most effective grounding or mind-body tools that you can use to take your anxiety far below that, that high threshold that's to be uncomfortable for you or your clients. Excellent thing to teach all clients so that they always have that in their back pocket. And please, in order to feel comfortable teaching it, make sure you practice it yourself a lot, probably at least 3 or 4 times a day. Just take 1 or 2 minutes to ground yourself and touch space with yourself and ask yourself how you feel after that grounding. Okay, and we'll see you on a future training video in the Conscious Coaching course. Thanks, guys.